We're gonna go to the land of make believe. So I want you to do a little sound effect.
Yeah. I'll put it in.
Okay. So you want to start a brewery? Maybe we should start a brewery.
Dude, I'm down.
You're down to start a brewery? Okay. Me and you're gonna start a brewery. What are we gonna call it? Jose?
Yeah, the two hoes.
Jose Squared.
Yeah.
Jose Squared Brewery. Fine.
Oh, dang, that sounds dope.
Yeah, we want to have a brewery, and we're going to do it in Selma. We want to have it in the heart of Selma. There's an open space in Selma. Hanford has a brewery, has its own brewery in downtown, which is a meeting place for a lot of people in the community. Mm-hmm. Sanger has House of Pendragon.
Shout out Tommy. Those guys are dope.
Okay, so we know that the concept of breweries work.
Facts.
So there's one in Sanger. Selma doesn't have a brewery. Selma doesn't have
anything. Has Magash.
They do, and they have a new cider place thing too. Yeah. So we're gonna start a brewery. We're gonna go to Selma. We're gonna be the flagship brewery of the city because there doesn't exist right now. So let's go to the website. Let's go to the Chamber of Commerce website. Let's check it out, and you're gonna put this all on the screen. You're like, oh, okay. So I don't see that many pictures of the city. Mm-hmm. And the website looks a little dated. There's not a lot of information there for me to like make that decision on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to City of Reedley's website, the Chamber of Commerce website. Pictures, up to date, modern, easy to read. There's a drop down menu that says resources for businesses. Like everything you need and everything to sell the city is on that website.
Yeah.
Because we live in 2020 and we search everything before we do something.
We
right?
do.
So the City of Selma, the Chamber of Commerce website, doesn't live up to the hype. It doesn't look good. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're just redeveloping and they need to add some things. Let's drive out to Selma. You want to drive to Selma? Let's go.
Your car. I'm not. I don't want gas.
The gas prices. All right. Cool. So,
cheap. No,
so we're driving down to 99. Selma looks beautiful. Like Selma's beautiful. You see Pioneer Village. You see the Walmart development. You see the car dealerships. We're gonna get off on 2nd Street because 2nd Street takes us to downtown. First thing we see is a sign that says Business District, pointing towards downtown. It's like, okay, but is that downtown? I'm a newcomer. I don't know where downtown is. And it's not branded. There's no branding on it. If you go to Kingsburg, they have signs that are completely branded with the dollar and everything, and it speaks to their name. Mm-hmm. Marketing, right? That's important.
Yeah.
So we get off the freeway on 2nd Street. What do we see on the right? Empty lot, dead grass, fence, abandoned gas station signs.
Yep.
Cool. Well, maybe it's just this. Let's just keep going. We make the left to go down 2nd Street. Another abandoned lot. Mm-hmm. Grass covered by a wooden fence to maybe hide the grass.
Yep.
To the left, another abandoned lot with another abandoned gas station sign.
Yep.
Before we get to downtown Selma, we can count 5 abandoned lots before we get to our destination of where we want to do our brewery. Mm-hmm. So what kind of trust does that instill in you?
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Jose Cruz. Yes, your favorite Native American. And man, we are back at it, man. This is another one-off podcast, one of these special podcasts that I'm proud to do because I know we've taken a break. You know, we got season 3 coming soon. I announced that just recently, probably early to mid-December. You know, so we ended season 2. You guys go check out those other podcasts because, man, those podcasts, the content, the guests we've had on has been super amazing, super dope. Check out season 1 and all our other pilot. We have like 11 pilot episodes. I don't know if that's even a thing, to have 11 pilot episodes. But today we have a special guest, one of my good friends from back in the day till now. We got my good friend, Jose Moreno. What's up, boy?
What's up? That caught me by surprise, man. I was having flashbacks of being in the newsroom. Like, wait, which camera am I looking at? Caught me by surprise. Like Jose was saying, we go way back to news, so we're kind of familiar with this setup. That's why I'm like, it's different to be on this end.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm actually kind of nervous, you know, because it's like, you're the director. And I know you know quality. I know you know production. It's like, for me, it's like, again, we're behind the camera, behind the scenes. To be in front, it's like, you probably like, this dude is not a good talent.
Well, I'm not the director anymore. Wifey's the director.
Yeah,
she can tell you when you're not doing a good job. She will let you know. She's gonna have to take you behind the scenes, like, you know, more energy next time.
Or don't be too extra. You know. But dude, I'm glad you're here, man. I know there's a lot of important things coming up. There's especially in the city of Selma, where you hail from. But we definitely I want to get to have the audience, because this is mainly going to be promoted in Selma because there is it's voting. I mean, there's voting seasons upon us, you know, and definitely want to get into that. But before we get into that, man, let's get to know you. Let's get like everybody in Selma that's going to be listening and watching. This is going to be promoted everywhere, but specifically for Selma, man. Let's get to know you. Let's tell your story, where you grew up, raised, job experience, and kind of we'll just piggyback from there, man.
Sounds good. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you all for having me here. Like, this is a great setup. Like, I've watched you grown for years, man. And you always send me ideas like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? To see it come to fruition is what I love. Like, I love to see growth, and I love to be a part of that and watch the ride. And we talked about streaming, we talked about podcasts years ago, and we knew it was going to be a thing. And now you're doing it. You're killing it. You have a ton of great guests on here, and I really appreciate being here.
Yeah, dude, I mean, I don't want, but just piggybacking off that, dude, it's like you're the person I always hit up because I know you know production. I know we come from that world. And we both worked at a local news station here in town, and to have you on here, because again, I was nervous because I know the behind the scenes, what works and stuff. So to have you on, I want to say thank you because I remember when I first bought my switcherboard, the little one. You helped me out.
We're running cables and plugging it in, testing it out.
How come the mic don't work? And you're like,
because press that button.
Just one button the whole time.
It happens to all of us, though. It happens to all. We learn, we grow. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, and so that's where I feel like I want to say again, thanks for coming on, man. And really, toot your horn is like my production experience comes from you, man. Because I know we've worked in town halls together. We've worked live shots. We've worked some breaking news.
Absolutely.
We've done a lot of stuff to where I know quality. And I think that's where my eye comes from is working with you.
Absolutely.
100%, man. Because again, there's a lot of people that helped me. There's a lot of people that got me here. And I definitely want to say, bro, you helped me be where I'm at today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Because the production and we've worked outside jobs together, and so we have a lot of working experience. And so again, let's get to know you, man. Where you from? Where'd you grow up? I know that's obvious. But,
Well, it was a cold night in 1982. No, just kidding. No, like Jose would say, my name is Jose Moreno from Selma. A lot of my family members, a fun fact, like a sound effect. A lot of them may know me as Joey Moreno, because my dad's name is Jose. My grandpa's name is Jose. So growing up, they would call me Joey to not get them confused. And my dad's name was Pepe. So that's kind of how like Joey came about. So my family and friends are probably know me as that. But my professional name, obviously, my legal name is Jose Moreno. I'm born and raised in Selma, California.
Nice.
I grew up on the north side, right behind Selma High School on Huntsman and Thompson. And then I did go to all Selma schools. I went to Jackson School, so I'm a Jackson School Husky. Another fun fact: I ran for council at Jackson School.
No way.
in fourth grade. I won that race.
Ooh.
I lost another race against my best friend, actually. So so I did start off at an early age wanting to be involved and kind of wanting to be a part of things and wanting to like understand how about leadership skills and growing with the community. So I went to Jackson School and then I went to Selma High. I graduated from Selma High in 2000, and I'm just aging myself right now. I shouldn't be doing that. I graduated from Selma High. Like I said, all Selma, born and raised. And from there, I ended up going to college at Long Beach State, where I learned about video production and graphic design and all multimedia and all of these aspects that we're into now. And that's kind of where I gained that knowledge and experience. Fast forward to after I graduated college, went to work at a local news station. And that's where I met this guy. Our paths crossed.
Yeah, the two Jose's united.
We united at Fox, and that was a great experience because working in television, like Jose mentioned, it is stressful. But at the end of the day, you're really working as a team to produce a quality product. And that's where I come from, is like working in a team environment, working under stressful environments. And that's important to me, is working as a team. Like there's no superstars, there's no rock stars in news or any kind of production. So when you're working in a collaborative effort, the director isn't more important than the camera person, and the camera person is not more important than the audio person, because they all have a selective job to make sure the show goes on without a hitch. And you're great at that. We're all great at that. We all had that mentality of like, let's do what needs to be done to make the product the best it could possibly be. And I hold on to that mentality still. And that was back in 2006, 7, 8. Like we were working in news back then. And then around that time, I kind of got involved more into the community of Selma because I was living there. I did some poster designs for local events, and things like that. And people were reaching out to me like, hey, can you help promote this? Can you do this? And then that's where my attachment to the community came in. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
like there's nobody around that's helping us. And I'm like, for sure, like I'll make a flyer for you, or yeah, I'll take photos at your event, or I'll shoot some videos for you. You know, and it was all fun. And it was fun to see our city highlighted in a way, in a visual way.
Yeah.
Other than, you know, just Facebook posts and all these different things. So somebody that really helped facilitate that for me. I want to give a shout out to John Hernandez, Professor H.
H.
H. Yeah. During that time, man, like, he's like, yeah, man, you could do this. Like, he was really pushing me and really like guiding me like, yeah, you could do all this stuff. So we started doing it. And he was like, can you make me a MySpace page for Gen Z? Do you know what MySpace is? Yeah. He's like, can you make me a MySpace page? And I'm like, well, I don't know how to, but I'll figure it out. So I figured out how to code, and we're making MySpace pages back then. Nice. And that's kind of where like my love for like collaborating and doing things came about. And, you know, I want to get, John is a Selma resident. His family's from Selma. So like, he's really instrumental in helping me like push my career along and help do some of that media stuff. So that's when we come to news, and we worked in news together for a long time. And like I said, a lot of collaborative efforts, and a lot of, like you said, town halls, and a lot of politics. Like, we're behind the scenes of politics. So seeing it from that angle of, okay, like these are the needs of the community. These are what the people are saying, and presenting like these town hall meetings. And that's why it's important to me that we go out to the community and we're asking them like, so this is your opportunity to ask us questions, or ask your elected official questions. So that really stuck with me during news of like, okay, how the democratic process works, the accessibility to that process for the people. Is important to me, and that kind of hit home for me at that time. And then it kind of transitioned to after I left news, I worked at Valley PBS, another television outlet, and there we were telling stories of the community, and that was different. Like, I would go out to different communities, Porterville, all these rural areas, and seeing what like made them tick, like seeing like what they cared about and what their pride was in. Telling their stories. They would have stories about their veterans. They would have stories about some murals, like anything that was important to their city. We're telling those stories. And that's where I got to see a lot of that. And I was like, man, like this is great. Like to venture off to other cities and see what they're proud of. And I want to bring, I want to do that for my city. Like that was the goal. That was the idea, is that I want to do that for our city. Like, I want our city to be seen in this positive light, and have some kind of pride, visually on the screen, or on Facebook or online.
Yeah, I remember like when you got, because one thing I know about you, man, I think I started seeing more video on social media, on News Around Selma. And when I found out, you know, it was like, man, who's making all these videos? And I found out it was you. I was like, I wasn't surprised, you know, because dude, you take a interest in the community, you know, promoting, you know, the art hops or the booths. You know, I don't know what you guys call that, but just those events. I know you go down there, you shoot little promos, you've done all that.
Absolutely.
You know, to get Selma on that video promotion, especially on social media, was big. And I think, I don't know, man, I haven't seen nobody else do it. I don't know if you brought that to Selma, you know, to shed light. Hey, man, Selma's doing it up. You know, we're growing, you know, and I think that's where, you know, when again, our experience with video promotion, you know, is like, that's one of the dopest things to have, is that, you know, you can be now a council member, you're running, but you still have the background. It's like, I can promote me too. You know, I can promote you. I can do this. So it's not like we just, you know, we show up and all we do is talk. No, we have a skill, we have a trade, we work something for this, you know. And Absolutely. I get that vibe from you again, man. Absolutely. And for you to bring light down to Selma, dude, it's pretty dope, man, because I think that's what Selma needs. Selma is one of those cities that are sleeper cities that definitely have the potential to grow. And
we gotta wake up, bro. It's time to wake up.
I feel you.
But yeah, like exactly to touch on your point, I'm glad that resonated and you saw that, because that's kind of what I was going for. I was like, let's promote this Tejano concert that we do every year, and let's make it look as best as we can, and let's bring other people from the other cities to be like, Selma's doing this thing, and I see it on social media all the time, and I want to go. And that's the idea of selling the city, using the skill set that we develop, but also adapting the technology. I feel like that's not a thing that's happening in Selma. adapting to new ways people are consuming information, and adapting to how they attend events. So that's important in the culture and the community building aspect. And that way we get people from outside of town to come to our city and see, man, I went to Selma for this Tejano event. I ate at Sal's, man. I never been to Sal's. Sal's was delicious.
Sal's is the spot, man.
Yeah. And like I drove through downtown and they have this big art center and it says that they do plays and stuff. I might want to take my kids to go see a play. So bringing people in and then showing them what we have is the idea behind it. And that's been the idea behind it since I started doing this for the city. Yeah. I've done it for the Boys and Girls Club and I've done it for other nonprofits. I've done it for our church because it's important that we try to like show off our church and say this is what we're doing. This is community. We are community building.
Facts, bro. That's dope, man. Because again, your community. Because I remember posting on I don't know what news around Selma, the one you run, but I was like, Jose Moreno, dope. I'm glad you're in the community. Never got approved. You know, it's like, come on, man. I'm trying to give you some flowers, bro. Some flowers your way.
I got you.
But again, that's the vibe I get from you, man. And it surprised me to like when I found out you were running for a city council, man. It's like, what? You know, like, Moreno. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I'm actually not surprised. You know, because again, man, my experience with you working in the news station was it's real. Cutthroat. We've like bumped heads.
Oh yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, we knew it was like, all right,
look at us now. Look at us now.
Look at 2 Jose's, bro.
Jose squared.
You know, but that's what I'm saying. Is like, again, man, when it comes down to it, I know you personally, man, and to see you do this, you know, because again, we used to live in Selma. We're there about 12 years. Then we moved here to Clover because I got closer to work because I was actually back there for a little while. Then I left, started my own thing. You know, but Selma is on my heart. I had a love-hate relationship with Selma.
A lot of people do, bro.
It's like, because the community that, you know, is great people, you know, but there is a mentality there, man. The customer service, all those restaurants, all those stores are crappy. I'll be real. You know, you see it on News Around Selma. If you really want to know the heartbeat of Selma, go on that main news, the first News Around Selma, at least the one I've seen. You know, because everyone talks about McDonald's, the workers. This one guy took a picture. It's like, I ordered a double or McDouble. So he opened it up. He's like, there was only the bread, the pickles, and cheese in there. He didn't get the meat, you know. And a lot of people complain about that, you know. And,
I got it, yeah.
And it's a mentality, and I feel like you said, Selma needs to wake up. You know, you got to wake up, man. And I think now more than ever, you know, getting into now your story on running for District 2 city council member. You know, why are you officially doing that? What made you want to just toss your hat in the ring?
That's a great question, man. Because like you said, like we worked our whole careers behind the scenes. Like our job is to make other people look good. And we've been.
I'm here to make you look good.
Man, it's a hard task. No, our job is to make other people look good for many years. And you do know me personally. You know, I'm not one for the limelight. I'm not one to be in front of the camera and be on the podcast. Like that's not like my forte. But sitting back and watching the direction the city's going in, it was just like, okay, someone has to do something. Like somebody has to jump in. And I know why. Now I know why a lot of people do not. Because it's not easy. It is not easy. And it's not. A lot of people don't want that attention, and a lot of people don't want the criticism,
the heat, man,
and the heat. Yeah, there is heat involved, and I think. It's not easy for anybody, but you learn to adapt and you learn to have that why. That why sits in front of you. You're like, why am I doing this? And you keep going back to this. Mentally and emotionally, you go back to that why. And my why for me is just, you know, wanting to have like a city that people could be proud of, including my daughter. So when my daughter grows up, I'm raising my daughter in Selma. She does Mexican dance folklorico in Selma. She's done T-ball. We've gone to so many plays at the Selma Art Center. My daughter is an integral part of like the next generation. So one thing I don't want is something you mentioned is that love-hate relationship where people are like, man, I hate Selma. I'm leaving Selma. I'm moving to Kingsburg. And there's a lot of people that have told me that along this journey is that, you know, I left Selma and I didn't look back. Like I had good times there, but it's not growing. It's not evolving. And everybody, like you said, the criticism about the food in the restaurant, like there's this certain dark cloud that sits over,
it hovers,
and it's like and I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe I'm not jaded yet. Maybe I still believe that there are still people who want to like, and I see these people all the time, and that's why I think that way. In dealing with the Selma Art Center and you know, my council members on there, like they all have this passion to like do the best work they could possibly do on community theater. And I'm like, see, like they're here. Like there are people here that it exists. Other people who work for nonprofits, they're there too. Community members that are doing events on their own without the help of the city or the chamber, like they're spending their own money, they're spending their own time to build something for other people. Yeah. And that's commendable, man. These pop-up events, for instance, the one that was super successful was a couple of weeks ago was a Halloween theme one. Like I shout out to them, man, because it's a lot of work. Yeah, it is a lot of work to throw an event together. And you know, in my experience working with putting events together, you have to do a lot of permitting, you have to do a lot of logistical work, and it's not fun. But you're doing it to build community. So I think the more we have of that, the more that mindset will change. Like I went to this great event, we did this, this, and this. And now, like, I have more pride going out and more pride telling people about my city. Yeah. And now maybe I'll invite my cousin from Hanford to come down and come out to this trick-or-treat thing. Or maybe I'll invite my neighbor from Kingsburg that moved out to come out to Selma because we're doing this concert. So, you know, building a community people could be proud of is kind of is where I stand, and still having that hope that there's this new generation, like there's this underlining like vibe of like, we're going to start building for our own. And I see them. And I love it, and I love working with them, and I want to motivate them. Like, yeah, let's do this. Tell me how I can help, and this is how I'm going to help. Like, I want the seat. I want to be a seat. I want to have a seat at the table for those people. I like that, man. Again, man, you can hear, because this I want to get into this too. Because again, you want the seat. The seat comes with the price, though. You know, it comes with some, you know, the good and the bad. You know, especially throwing your hat in the ring, like we talked about. You know, again, what district are you running for again? District 2. District 2. Now, give me a little insight on District 2. What are the, going into this now, what problems do you see, you know, when you live in District 2, have you walked around, have you talked to people and found out what really was going on? What can change? What can be better? What can stay the same? Absolutely. You know, and then go into like the experience on the pushback of running for District 2 with your opponent. Got it. Loaded question. I got it. I got it. So for Selma people, District 2 runs from roughly Dinuba to Floral, Selma High to Abraham Lincoln Middle School, with some neighborhoods on the outside that are still part of my district. But that's the general overview. So of course, knocking on doors, and that I feel like that's been one of the best experiences I've had in this whole process, is talking to my neighbors and hearing about their experiences in Selma. And a lot of them, like, we've been here for 70 years, we've been here this many years, or we just moved here. And just hearing about their experiences is eye-opening, and it's great. I get a lot of, no one's ever asked us that. Like, no one's ever knocked on this door. No one's ever asked me. No one's ever asked me what I thought about the neighborhood. And I do get a lot of like, no elected official has ever come by my neighborhood. No way. And if they have, they came by once and they don't show up again for 4 years. So, and I gave them the pledge when I knocked on that door. It's like, that's not me. Like, I literally live 2 blocks from you. You can come in my house and we can hang out. Yeah. We have a barbecue. Like, bro, you throw some parties too, man. That last time we went, my boy went in, got some good grub. Your mom hook it up. Yeah, man. So that's my mentality, is accessibility. Accessibility to my neighbors. I'm not like, you have my phone number, you could email me. And that's a lot of the things I tell people at the door. So a lot of the concerns from the city, from my neighborhood, I should say, has been, so I feel like sometimes there's this, city council sits at their chambers and they make decisions. And a lot of times they don't hear directly from the people because of what I just mentioned. So they think everybody needs this, we need this, with this and this. But if you go and knock on the neighbor's door, like, they really just want like my road repaved. Yeah. Like, I really just want this road fixed. This pothole I drive by every single day, like, I want this fixed. And like, that is something that needs to be addressed at council. Like, we need to hear those voices. The second thing people hear that I hear is the speeding. There's a lot of people who speed either by the schools or the residential areas. Yeah. You know, a lot of the younger generation have these really fast cars, real loud cars, and they're zooming through. And a lot of the neighbors, that was a concern they voiced to me, is that. And one of the points on my website is that I would like to bring up the topic of speed bumps or speed humps like they do in Fresno,
Mhm.
to create some kind of barrier so that people don't speed in special areas like around the schools and stuff.
Definitely, man.
Because unfortunately, behind Selma High, there was an incident maybe a couple of weeks ago. A young woman got hit, and she got sent to the hospital. Two women got hit. I'm sorry, and they got sent to the hospital, and it's very serious injuries. And it's like, so when we talk public safety, sometimes we think, oh, we need more officers, we need more police, but really maybe sometimes we just need like some of these smaller things to keep our neighborhoods safe,
Yeah.
like speed bumps, more lights, maybe some of those signs that say caution, children playing.
Yeah.
I see people come out of their pocket for those things, and it's like, do we really like does our community need to really pay for this to make sure their kids are safe? And I lived on a busy street for a long time on the north side, and I understand how it is, and I felt the same way. It's like, I want to put up a sign because to let people know, like, slow down, man. My daughter's riding her bike.
It's different when you're a parent, when you're a father, when you have kids, even when we were younger, I know I've done a lot. I was the speeder. I was the one, burning out my 97 Saturn, thought I was, Vin Diesel up in here, but, again, it comes with awareness. It comes with that mind. It's like, you know what? It's no longer about me. It's no longer about what, I'm a citizen, man, but I can be more, I think that's what you're doing. But now get into like your opponent in District 2. What have you talked to your constituents in District 2 about your opponent? Like, is he, are they living up to the standard, or is this something they feel like, is he getting anything accomplished?
So the unique thing about this election is it's the first time that our area is up for election in a district. It's never been a districted race. In the past, the way people won their elected seat was the top vote getters. So that's how my opponent won his seat. He was one of the 2 top vote getters that got in through the whole city.
Wow.
So you're running for the whole city, and the whole city's voting for you, and the top 2 get in. So this is the first time it's like a micro version of that. So what's important is the 3,000 to 4,000 votes that live in our district, and it's a different ball game at that point, because it's like, putting signs in every single part of the city. Is that going to benefit you, or is knocking on the doors of the people you live by going to benefit you, and hearing their concerns and taking time to listen and extending your hand and be like, if you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. Is that going to win the election?
Yeah.
And that's yet to be determined how this is going to work.
Yeah.
But this model I do love better because, and this is what I tell people when I knock on the door, you have a representative for your neighborhood. Like, and that means a lot to me. That's a lot of pressure. To be like, if something's wrong in the neighborhood, you're going to come to me, and it's my job to analyze it and address it at city council.
Yeah.
So being a representative is a big deal, but I really like the idea of having these neighborhoods have representatives. So that way the people in the barrio have a voice.
Yeah.
The people on the north side have a voice. The people in my area have a voice. The people who live in the more affluent areas, they have their voice. So in the past, it was always like, sometimes there would be multiple representatives from that area. But now every district has a representative.
That's cool, man.
And everybody has their own unique needs.
Yeah.
So that's why I love this idea, and that's why I love our democracy, is that everybody feels like they have a voice and they have a representative and they have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Which is what I mentioned earlier, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running, is because I want to be at that table and have a seat.
Now, in saying that, then, man, because again, I had Louis Quintana on. He's running for mayor. We asked the questions on, what's the first thing you'll do, kind of what's your motivation, I'm hearing that, but when you get that seat, because there are going to be probably some people that are colleagues and that are opponents, and to sit on the council, because there's 5 of you. So when you get on, how do you learn to, like you said, the democracy, how do you learn to get along? Even though, you've heard that, hey, man, you voted against my homie. Now I'm here to, it's like the street, like, I'm gonna get you back, boy, but, but how do you learn to get along? Because again, politics is dirty.
It is.
You get like the sweetest dude, find out, man, dude, you're mean. You hurt my feelings. When you get the seat, how do you plan on getting along, man? And just say hypothetically, Lewis won, an opponent, from, Mayor Robinson. How do you feel like you would get along? What's your approach on, making sure everyone doesn't just say, hey, I'm here to get mine, my agenda. But how do you, because again, you guys are running for the seat, but a lot of people, I do believe, politicians, we see it nationwide, elect me, I'm for you, and then nothing.
Yeah.
It's like what was all that hype?
Yeah.
So what do you? What's your approach on that? Should you win? And hypothetically, should Lewis win? What's your approach on getting along and making sure that you guys remember the city of Selma are up front, not your personal feelings or agenda. What's your approach?
Absolutely. And you touched on a great point. Like you made a very valid point. Is like sometimes it feels like it's gang related. Like it feels like
Bloods and Crips, boy.
It's worse than that. So you're running with that person. You're running with that person. Okay, so now I know how it is. Hey, where you from? Like that's how it felt. Like when I first put my name out there, other parties from other cities, other people from other elected officials from other cities wanted to know, so who you run, who's this, who's that? Like, I'm like, bro, like this is crazy. Like, and that's one of the things I mentioned. Like, that's why a lot of people don't get into it, is because I feel like to get jumped in. Yeah. That is so real, yeah. To feel like you're gonna get jumped in. It's like, bro, it's not even like that. Yeah. Like to come up with that idea that your loyalties because you're friends with someone or you took a picture with someone and that's how you agree with them all the time. Like that is ridiculous, and it's sometimes offensive. Like me, like how like strong-willed I am and how opinionated I am.
That's real.
So for the idea that and also like I've had my own life experiences. Like I grew up where I grew up and my family grew up the way we did. It's different from another council member, so we're gonna have different opinions. And we're gonna have different
ways of communication.
Exactly. Different point of views. And that's okay. And that's the whole point of democracy, is that we all come together for the better good of the city.
Reach it. My man, reach it, man.
So I totally respect everybody else on that council and the candidates. I've actually had words with two sitting council members, Blanca Navarro and Bev Cho, and asked further advice. I'm like, what's the advice you would give somebody like me who's getting into it? They both gave me the same advice. And it's great advice. Like, be yourself, be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And that is the same thing my mom told me years ago.
Listen to your mom.
So, exactly. So it's not like it's not like you're getting jumped in, or like, it's not that idea.
That's funny. Yeah,
it's not like that. It's like, I have my own life experiences. So I'm going to stay true to the values that I was raised with my parents. And the things that they instilled in me growing up. And it's hard work. It's definitely working together. It's definitely like family. It's definitely faith. It's all of these things that my parents has instilled in me. So if anybody ever wants to say so-and-so is going to influence your vote, my parents will probably influence my vote more than anybody because they raised me. And growing up, like, they're not super political, but they have their views, and they have their life experiences help mold me as the person, but also help mold me politically.
Come on.
So like I said, it's not another candidate that can control me, and it's not another entity that can control me. Yeah. It's my family and the way I was raised is pretty much where I'm going to be coming from.
That's dope.
And to follow up on your point of like how you're going to get along, I feel like the art of conflict resolution is like being lost, like right now. Like how you can have disagreements, but at the end of the day, we have to come to some kind of common ground and figure out how we're going to get these things done.
I like that.
And sometimes I feel like people get lost in the fog of like, well, I sit up there for my hours and I go back to my home, I go back to my office. I don't really see that residents. So we get lost in that. And that's something I don't want to happen. That's something that won't happen, is like, I have a big family and they talk a lot. They talk to me a lot. They voice their concerns a lot. So me being detached from what the needs of the city are is probably impossible, because at some point I'm talking to people all the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that art of hearing what the community needs and how can we get together to make this happen, or some version of it.
Yeah.
I feel like that doesn't happen now. I feel like it's, I'm going to steamroll this and we're going to push it through without any kind of negotiation. Yeah. And that's one of the most dangerous precedents to set.
Come on.
Nationally, but on a local level, it's even worse because, these people are depending on you.
Yeah.
Like, these people trusted you with the vote, and yet you're just going to like let it like not like work with somebody.
Yeah.
So that's not me. That's me. I like to work with other people. I like to work with other people I may not necessarily agree with, But we need to come to some kind of consensus of how we're going to move the city forward.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that makes, I mean, I'm right there too. I know me and you, have beliefs and we're different, but yet we still have a common ground where we're still homies.
Exactly.
I know you're running for office, you're running for a position, man, but I will always respect the position, man, because I'll just say I'm not a huge fan of Biden, but he's the president and I respect that. There's a lot of things I disagree with that they're doing, but dude, at the end of the day, man, the votes for whatever they say, whether he took it or not or robbed it, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, we got to hold on to that democracy, that common ground. Again, it's one of those things where I got to respect the position and look past my feelings, and I think now you had said, so like you said, you had a big family, a lot of people know you, and one of the things, when you said that reminded me, what are your thoughts on like council members having siblings, like they have a brother and sister in that, is that like a conflict of interest, where two people are family members on one side of the, city council and on the other side, they have the seat. Is that like a conflict of interest? Because I heard there is something like that. What are your thoughts on that?
My opinion is that it's not a conflict of interest in the sense of like these are people who are sacrificing their time to be involved in the community. Like those seats are open. Anybody could run against them. Okay. Like everybody run. That's the best part about our democracy. I just feel like it's a family who's really involved in the community. And, like I said, I'm related to a lot of people. So like we could play 6 degrees of separation from anybody in Selma. And at some point, I'm going to be related to them or be close to them.
So don't date somebody in Selma. You might be dating your cousin.
And fun fact again, I'm actually probably closer to Pastor Quintana than I am to Scott or anybody else, because through marriage we share. My cousin is married to a Quintana.
Oh,
so okay. Like I said, the 6 degrees of separation between me and him are probably 2.
Okay,
and then between me and Scott, we have no relation or anything. Like we're not related.
So he's a white dude,
no, but
and we brown.
But that idea of like because you're married. Or somebody married somebody is that you share the same mentality, the same ideals, and that's not necessarily true. I mean,
has there been like an issue brought up that you heard of? Because on my end, again, I know people in Selma and they brought that up, and it's not like I'm going to try to call people out or doing it. Because again, I live in Clovis, so again, I have a heart for Selma, but this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on. Is there like, hey, maybe behind the scenes, have you heard say, vote with me, we're going to do this, like planning an agenda. Is that something that's true or not? Have you heard anything of that?
I have never heard of anything like that. No one has ever approached me about this is how you have to think and this is what you have to do. No one has approached me in that manner. Because what would I say? What, like really? Like I'm like, why? Like my first question. Sorry, that's just me being me.
That was a genuine. like I saw your face. Like, it really
why?
could. Yeah, why?
Like present facts to me.
Come on.
Like that's how I base my decisions on. I'm a analytical person.
You are.
So present facts to me to help me best make that decision.
Like you have an open ear, right? You legitimately, even if it like. They proved it, and are you a type of person? Well, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Are you that type of guy?
Absolutely. I am more than willing to change my opinion when presented with new information.
Come on.
And that I wish a lot more people would be in that space of like, okay, now that I know this, or now that you presented the facts to me, now I can make a different decision now that you presented the facts. But unfortunately, in the the political climate we live in, is a lot of opinion. Like this is my opinion on someone, and this is my opinion on the things they do, and that's great. You can share your opinions, but I think sometimes we get it confused with facts.
Yeah. Can you give me an example on an opinion you may have heard that that we see like on news around Selma, something that's public?
Okay. Just for instance, I'll bring up the pop-up thing. Somebody said, I heard that the mayor approved this pop-up event.
Yeah.
Clearly not true. The mayor doesn't have the authority to approve these things. It goes to the city, it goes to the police. So that idea and that narrative like started traveling. And it's a perfect example of, people taking something they heard and running with it, as opposed to, this is the fact. They called the city. The city said that they're the only ones that could approve this. So, and that comes from a journalism background. I feel like verify your sources, right? Like we don't want to lead with things that are incorrect. And that's one of the things I talked about with people on News Around Selma and the Facebook group that I manage.
Which one is that? Let people know.
Selma News and Events.
Yeah.
We try to filter out a lot of that, like opinions rather than facts. Like if you provide facts, yeah, come with it. Like vote for so and so. He believes in this. Yeah, that's a fact. Okay?
Is it? But it's on both sides. Like you said, it's not like just one side you're silencing. You're not that type of person.
No,
to
absolutely.
Do that. Okay.
There's plenty of videos that went on both groups that are very.
Yeah, I did see that. I know Lewis had an interview with another individual there, and you let someone share that on your
absolutely.
page. And that's one thing I respect in life.
Absolutely. But I blocked you that one time.
You mother.
No. Oh, okay. So I'll get back to that. So
hey, we're still boys, man, so we're good.
No. So I was like, yeah, okay, this is his platform to talk about him. So let him. I mean, that's part of our democracy. People need to make educated decisions. And if they want to review that and they want to watch that, that's fine. Just that's part of it. Now, if Mayor Robertson wanted to do the same thing, go ahead, put it up there, as long as it's based in facts.
Come on.
And as long as it's based in talking about yourself. But a lot of people are like, we're not going to let you mudsling and saying correct things. And that's another thing we don't. Yes. And the reason I blocked you, because it was like, at some point, I didn't block you. I just didn't. I did.
I know you. I'm still on there. So
yeah, no. Because it's at some point it's still a little bit cringy for me people when they talk about me or like to see.
I know you're not like that. Dude.
To see,
I know you're not.
Like I'm not like that. Like giving me props still makes me uncomfortable. I guess that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But like I'll drive around Selma to where I don't have to see my own poster, my face on my poster.
Isn't it weird?
It makes me like feel uncomfortable, but I know it needs to be done to get name recognition. And that's part of the game.
And I think that's why having you on, man, because dude, I kid you not, everyone listening and watching, we are the type, because again, it's, I want to talk about me, but it is the show, but it's weird to see me on this side. There's, chubby, I got like chins all day, I got more rows than a loaf of bread. And so, but again, to be on this side, because we were in Selma yesterday and we were driving around. I saw your poster and it's like, again, it's one of those things, man. It's dope. That's my boy. Because I know for a fact you're not that guy that's like limelight.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people we've experienced in news.
It's hard. It's hard, man. And I feel like I could do more.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I'm stopping myself from like, like I'm not that person.
You're not.
I'm not running for clout, just so anybody knows.
Yeah. No, it's saying that. Let's talk about, because that's so true. Because a lot of people have these agendas, this clout, or this like, how do I get mine? Have you heard anybody accuse you or just opinionate on like, are you Jose Moreno's there just to get his own? Get like the side deal. If a certain thing is built, do you get a cut? Have you heard anything about that?
No, I haven't heard anything about that. Like I haven't heard any idea like that. Like I don't even know where that comes from. Like the fact when people say, "Oh, so and so is pocketing money." I've never seen an elected official have access to a money box. Like that's not a thing. The city has access to all that stuff, and the city does all these things. So no, like I don't have an agenda. I mean,
have you made money off anything?
Have I made money?
Yeah.
No, have I made
You're
money?
Like, dang, I want money.
No, I'm losing money. No, so that's a thing for people to know, that it is costly to run.
Yeah.
And this is something that Mayor Robertson's opponent said years ago, and I will openly agree with her, is that it is costly to run for a seat. So that's why a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah.
Being districted makes a difference because you only have to run in your area and do what you need to do there. But she's running for mayor, and she made a valid point that if you don't have a lot of money, it's hard to do this. Because signs and stuff are expensive.
Yeah.
But like you said, me and you are resourceful. Like we do our own stuff, so
that's what separates it, man.
Yeah, and then I take those skills and I use them in other places too, just like the art center. Like we're resourceful, and we record some of our plays or record some of my concerts. I'm doing it for free. I'm volunteering my time, so that comes in handy. And that's pretty much what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and I feel like that kind of gives you that extra credit because again, you're not, dude. I don't want to come off as, again, it's like biased and all that, man. But I know you, and maybe there's another side of you that I may or may not know. But that's not my place. From my experiences, since 2006, I've known you, you know, and when I hear certain things, it's like I'll question it, you know, because you're my boy, I got your back, again, when it comes to Lewis,
Yeah.
that's a good friend of mine. I got his back, because again, when people question it, but as far as the political part of it, I don't know, and so let me ask you this, because we've talked about Lewis, I've had him on, what is your opinion on a pastor running for mayor? I know, because like you said, I don't really, we want to talk about your opponent, but maybe for ease of mind, for people supporting you, what is your opinion on someone being a pastor running for mayor?
I think he has his right to run for mayor, obviously. Like it's anybody's right to run. I feel like it's maybe the forces that are around him that may influence him, and I'm a little bit worried about that. Like I said off camera, that Pastor Quintana sent me a message when we both ran, and it was a very positive message, and I sent one back because I'm like, yeah, we're both like on the outside of this thing, and now we're both jumping into it. And we both wish each other well, and we both like blessed each other, because I'm like, yeah, absolutely, like we're gonna need that. But I think once you see the surrounding people, I feel like that is a little worrisome, and kind of the narrative that surrounding people may push. But then again, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say, oh, like you're gonna do exactly what so and so tells you to do. I mean, so it's managing and balancing that mentality. But he is a community member, so he has all his right to run, and he has ties to the community. So absolutely, put your hat in and run. And then let the people decide.
Come on.
And that's what we love about democracy. If the people feel like a pastor isn't best for the mayor, then the people will decide. That goes for any candidate. And I feel like that's what I love about our election process. And I also love that everybody has the same voice. So somebody in his congregation has the same voice as somebody who's not. Somebody who lives in the more affluent side where he lives and somebody who lives in the barrio have the same exact voice. So that's why I love this, and let the people decide.
I like that. In saying that, because I've heard, I think I've heard from a few people that there's going to be one central location to go vote, right? There's not going to be these areas. Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know if that came from a county thing. Now voting's a little bit different this year because of COVID. Now election day started in October, where you can mail in your vote, or you can drop in your vote, or you can wait till the actual election day, November 8th, to go and drop and do the marker thing and slide in thing, get your sticker, the whole process.
So put it on social media.
Put on social. I voted. So the voting process is a little bit different now, and people are adapting to that.
Now, is that a good thing though? Is like, because do you think, because some of the rumors is like they want people to mail it in, and we've heard, you know, the issues with mail-in ballots. Is that something you think you'd be comfortable with in doing, or that's like a good thing to do in Selma?
So I don't have a problem with mail-in ballots. People should feel comfortable mailing it in. I don't think there's haven't been any issues or data that shows that that's a bad thing. But personally, I like to go. I like to go the day of. I like to take my daughter because I like to show her how the process works and what we're doing. And that's been a learning experience for her too throughout this whole process, like seeing her dad's name and on signs.
That's dope.
And that's why I take her with me to vote, so she could see what it's all about and kind of like how our system works.
Yo, that's cool, man.
But yeah, I think voting by mail is great. It's perfect. But I like to go in. That's just perfect.
And what would you recommend? Like, would you recommend people go in or mail it in? I mean, I know people like can choose what they want. What do you personally recommend?
I think it all depends on your accessibility to the polls. Like some people people who are working till 6, 7, or 8 maybe can't do it. So that's why there's a campaign to plan out your vote, plan ahead. Like if you know you can't make it to the polls that day, then you could fill out your ballot ahead of time and then drop it in the drop box. So it takes a little bit. It's individualized. So what works best for you should do. But don't forget that your job should allow you 2 hours to go vote paid. So if you're working retail, or if you're working at a job that doesn't honor that, bring it up to your supervisor. You can go out and vote, and you can come back to work. So they want to make that accessible to a lot of people. And that's the unfortunate thing about midterms. We're in a midterm election. It's not a presidential election. Presidential elections always have super high turnouts. Midterms necessarily don't have the highest turnouts. It's very low voter numbers. But sometimes that's when the most drastic changes occur. So if you're sleeping as a voter and you're not voting, like something may happen this election season to where you don't approve of.
Yeah.
And that goes with the propositions as well.
Yeah.
It's not just local government or, California government. It's all the propositions. So later on down the road, when he's like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
It's because it was on a ballot on a midterm election that you weren't aware of and it just went through.
Yeah.
So like read your information guide. Do your homework, go to websites, like do your homework on me. I have a website, joseforselma.com. Do your homework on me. And make an educated vote decision.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what we want to push.
I like that. Cause again, it reminds me of what you just said. It's time to wake up. I feel like the name of this pod is Wake Up Selma. Really wake up, cause like you said, it's in a small town. I mean, I'm in Clovis. I got my ballot. Me and my wife we're going to go in and vote. I'm not involved in the community, like politics wise, but I do support a lot of local events, comedy shows, support our military, stuff like that, man. We've had a huge impact, but in Selma, I definitely want to step up my, at least my impact working with you, working with, the city, it's like, hey, you guys got an event, bring the podcast out. Let's talk about it. Let's bring more, let's bring a dope production to Selma. Let's start elevating that. That's where my heart is, and so now that I'm thinking, getting involved, waking up, what, you guys good? You guys just, waking up. And so now let me ask you this, when you're elected, what's your goal? What's your mission? What do you want to see change, or what do you want to improve on? What needs to improve?
Absolutely.
What do you see?
I think the top, after talking to a lot of people that have been there for a while, is that they say that we're not growing economically. So economic development is key on my platform. We have to figure out how we're going to get new businesses in, but also take care and support our businesses that are there now. So there are plans for development to be built behind Walmart, attached to a park. And that gives opportunities for big box retail stores, but also small boutique stores, similar to what you see in Fresno, like a River Park, or maybe not that big, but a smaller version of it. There are people with vision, and there are teams with vision to make this happen. And it's what our citizens are asking for. It's like, I'm tired of going to Fresno to buy the things that I wish I could buy locally.
You can get a Costco in Selma?
Yeah. No, I don't know if that's going to happen, because big box stores like that look at a lot of demographics that have to do with the city, and a lot of it is medium income, how much you're making. I don't think we're up there to get that. Similar to how like Hanford has, they have big shopping centers and things like that. I know there was a talk about a Vallarta, and I think that the same idea is like, wait, we don't go to small towns too often. Like, we usually try to stay in the bigger cities, things like that. So I feel like who's fighting for us? Like, who's fighting to get businesses though? Well, like other businesses and grocery stores. Save Mart was a big loss to our community.
That's what I'm saying.
And it makes me upset that nobody can intervene. Nobody could have jumped in and be like, okay, the lease is up, so what can we do to try to keep Save Mart here? Like,
big name.
Yeah, and it was the local grocery store a lot of people love to go to, and that's something I hear on the campaign trails. Like, I miss Save Mart, and I miss going to a small store. So what are we gonna do to get businesses like that back? T-Mobile call center, where'd they go? They went to Kingsburg. That's 1,000 jobs. That's 1,000 jobs that we could have had in Selma. Because why? I don't know. Like, who's fighting for us? We don't have an economic development director right now. We haven't had one for several months. So does that mean economic development stops? Like, does that mean, like, what are we doing in that time period? Like,
well, we don't have nobody, so I guess that's on hold.
Yeah. Like who's chasing these things, or who's presenting the city of Selma as an economic force?
Now, why is that position filled? Is there like just nobody wants to do it? No one's applying for it. It's not being promoted. Hey, this is open.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an HR issue. But from what I know is the last person just left and it just stayed open. And the last person was given that was dealing with COVID at the time, like dealing through the era of COVID. So that was a big challenge for our community and our economics for sure. But at the time, I could see that she was trying to develop programs through COVID. But after COVID was ended and she left, like, now we just stopped.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? And that brings me to my next point I wanted to make is, like, we could have these big stores that people are asking for, but at some point the city has to target smaller businesses, like small mom and pops that come to Selma and like offer them incentives. Like, this is what we can do for your business if you come here. Like, this is our demographic. You want to open a dress shop? Like, here's what we can do. And seeking that. And I've had business friends that have businesses in Fresno saying Reedley came to our place of business and tried to get us to open a store over there. And then I'm like, who's doing that for Selma? Like, why aren't we getting that? Yeah. Why aren't we doing that? So, like, I'm just gonna want to just throw a scenario out there, and we're gonna go to the land of make believe. So I want you to do a little sound effect.
Yeah. I'll put it in.
Okay. So you want to start a brewery? Maybe we should start a brewery.
Dude, I'm down.
You're down to start a brewery? Okay. Yeah. Me and you're gonna start a brewery. What are we gonna call it? Jose?
Yeah, the two hoes.
No, Jose Squared.
Yeah,
Jose Squared Brewery. Fine.
Oh, dang, that sounds dope.
Yeah, we want to have a brewery, and we want to do it in Selma. We want to have it in the heart of Selma. There's an open space in Selma. Hanford has a brewery, has its own brewery in downtown, which is a meeting place for a lot of people in the community. Mm-hmm. Sanger has House of Pendragon.
Shout out Tommy. Those guys are dope.
Okay, so we know that the concept of breweries work.
Facts.
So there's one in Sanger. Selma doesn't have a brewery. Selma doesn't have any.
Has Magosh.
They do, and they have a new cider place thing too. Yeah. So we're gonna start a brewery. We're gonna go to Selma. We're gonna be the flagship brewery of the city because there doesn't exist right now. So let's go to the website. Let's go to the Chamber of Commerce website. Let's check it out. And you're gonna put this all on the screen. You're like, oh, okay. So I don't see that many pictures of the city. Mm-hmm. And the website looks a little dated. There's not a lot of information there for me to like make that decision on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to City of Reedley's website, the Chamber of Commerce website. Pictures, up to date, modern, easy to read. There's a drop down menu that says resources for businesses. Like everything you need and everything to sell the city is on that website. Yeah. Because we live in 2020 and we search everything before we do something. We do. So the City of Selma, the Chamber of Commerce website doesn't live up to the hype. It doesn't look good. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're just redeveloping and they need to add some things. Let's drive out to Selma. You want to drive to Selma? Let's go.
Your car. I'm not. I don't want to gas.
The gas prices. All right. Cool. So,
I'm cheap. No,
so we're driving down to 99. Selma looks beautiful. Like Selma's beautiful. You see Pioneer Village. You see the Walmart development. You see the car dealerships. We're gonna get off on 2nd Street because 2nd Street takes us to downtown. First thing we see is a sign that says Business District, pointing towards downtown. It's like, okay, but is that downtown? I'm a newcomer. I don't know where downtown is. And it's not branded. There's no branding on it. If you go to Kingsburg, they have signs that are completely branded with the dollar and everything, and it speaks to their name. Mm-hmm. Marketing, right? That's important.
Yeah.
So we get off the freeway on 2nd Street. What do we see on the right? Empty lot, dead grass, fence, abandoned gas station signs.
Yep.
Cool. Well, maybe it's just this. Let's just keep going. We make the left to go down 2nd Street. Another abandoned lot. Mm-hmm. Grass covered by a wooden fence to maybe hide the grass.
Yeah.
To the left, another abandoned lot with another abandoned gas station sign.
Yep.
Before we get to downtown Selma, we can count 5 abandoned lots before we get to our destination of where we want to do our brewery. Mm-hmm. So what kind of trust does that instill in you?
Not good, man. Because it's like, if we passed abandoned, does this place have growth? Does this show like a prosperous opportunity? You know, you have doubts, leading up to it.
We're spending our life savings on this business, and this doesn't look good so far.
Yeah.
So we get to the business, and downtown is great. It's prospering. It's growing. But all of these factors businesses take into account when they're investing like their money in. Mm-hmm. So, and that's kind of the mentality I have. Is that like, does anybody else see this? Does anybody else like understand like why this is important? So we can attract outside people to kind of invest in the town. Mm-hmm. And when you're seeing all these things, it's not impressive, and it's not something to be proud about. And that's and that idea that we spoke about earlier is having city pride comes from that. Like if the city looks like this on this street, why should I take care of my grass?
Yeah.
Like why the city doesn't take care of it? Like I'm just gonna let my weeds grow. And that pride comes from the top down.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's part of what we're lacking.
Well, then saying that, again, I don't want to ever just feel like I want to accuse people, but you're right. I am the type of guy, man. If you want to see whether it's a business, a church, or any type of thing, if you're at the top, it's always your fault. Mm-hmm. It's like whether things are successful or not, you're the guy that's getting credit on both ends, Yeah. So do you think from the city manager, mayor down, are they responsible for not handling that? Are they the reason why that's not like the business development, economic development, bringing in businesses? If these guys are running for and they've been here that long and it's still been like that, should there be a change? Because in saying that, again, when we left Selma, it was always that. It's actually gotten worse since we've left, and it's like, maybe it is time for a change, because that's so true. Because I like your mentality. Because again, I heard someone say, if you want the new, freshest idea, if you want the next best thing, man, go to the younger generation. Dude, I feel like we are. I know, like you said, 2000 you graduated, but the thing is, though, we're still young. I know, our age says otherwise, but our experiences and the culture and what can be popping, we know that stuff.
Yeah.
So do you think the administration now is the problem? Because again, you did mention the reality of what's missing, what just hitting down, driving down to downtown, it's like all these empty buildings, all these dirt grasses and all that. Do you think our current administration is the problem? And is there time for change?
I think that collectively, there isn't a collective vision, which goes back to the unity issue we talked about. That we're not all on the same page. And it's like all these pooling of like different agendas and in between letting the fighting get there. So it becomes more of a tit for tat as opposed to, okay, let's address the abandoned lots. Mm-hmm. But it's like, it goes back and forth. So that exists, that level of nobody's addressing the issues and we're going back and forth and taking time away from addressing real issues. Mm-hmm. That is a city council issue, 100%. Mm-hmm. The other issue is having a vision. Like I don't feel like there's a vision at that level.
Talk to the young folk, man. They know.
Exactly. Yep. A vision. Other than, I heard my opponent one time say, like, all of our buildings going to be the same color? Like talking about like color matching. And I'm like, bro, like colors, like let's talk about like architecture. The architecture doesn't match either. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about all the abandoned buildings that are abandoned lots that are on the way to downtown. Yeah. So yes, the council sets the tone. They set the vision and they assign the city manager to make those decisions. Like, okay, we're giving you direction that we want to see this, and this. City manager talks to the economic development director or whoever is there at the time, but we don't have one. Yeah. So it's kind of like a bottleneck. Like things are getting stopped because of positions aren't being filled. And so, who wants to work in Selma?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll move back. Because again, I do feel that that's what it needs, man. There's, like again, when I had Louis Quintana on, he has a heart for Selma. He believes that there is opportunity that Selma has, and there's opportunity that Selma deserves, So that's one thing I do believe. And being away from Selma and going back visiting and hanging out, going to church there, because I still feel like I have ties, and I do want to see Selma succeed, and I do. I think this is like the preachy side of me, soapbox or whatever you want to say. But I think it's always like the community, people that are listening and watching, man, you guys are the ones that, like you said, vote. If you want to catch this vision, dude, because you saying that, I'll be real, man, I haven't heard, even in like national politics, people just get real specific on the problem.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Well, didn't they generalize it? Man, you took me on a story. I'm like visioning myself. All right, you're driving.
You want to do that brewery now, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Man, the 2 8 squares, dude. Oh my God, that's something definitely we can do, man. But that's the thing, man. You have a vision, man, and again, that comes with young minds, and the experience we have is current, And I feel like a lot of these old heads, they got to go. I know you've been there for 100 years, man, but you're stuck in the Stone Age, bro. This is a new time where you could actually start promoting, which, in fact, why I feel like Selma got a lot of love, especially with, you making your videos, you promoting it, because you have a genuine love. And I'm not saying these people don't, but it's time to adapt, And there's a movie I love, Moneyball, Billy Bean, or he's, owner of Oakland A's, and he got all these old heads doing the old school way. And he's like, hey, man, adapt or die.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. It's like, get rid of the old, man. Time for new, keep the democracy. Keep like, hey, man, I don't want to shut your speech down. I don't want to shut your speech down. I don't agree with you, but guess what? That's the world. That's the America we live in. And that's what we want, and I get that from you, dude. Hands down, I would vote for you because I know.
I appreciate that.
I would, because I know I said that with Louis. I feel the same way about you, man, because you are my boy, man. And just hearing you, dude, this is what makes me super proud. just knowing you, because again, I genuinely do love Selma, and when I can picture myself driving there, and you can see what needs to get fixed, what needs to be corrected, but you need, like you said, a communication. People unite it, man. Come on, we got to
Absolutely.
put your agenda aside, put your hurt
Absolutely.
feelings aside,
Absolutely.
because I've heard like, hey, you voted against me on this one thing. Guess what? Next time you offer something, I'm voting against you just because I'm salty.
Yeah, it's
You know?
unfortunate that happens.
Yeah.
But there has to be a way to regulate that,
Mhm.
and there has to be some kind of like mediator in
Mhm.
that. And that's kind of the role I feel like I don't, like I said, I wasn't jumped in the gang. Like we can
That's so
make
true.
decisions based on information that we have.
Mhm.
Like, okay, great, you make valid points there. You also make valid points. What can we do to come together to to move this project forward?
Yeah.
It may not be the project that was sold to us or envisioned, but we can make this happen for the better of the community.
Yeah.
And I just want to tap in real quick on something you mentioned that it really is really important. As you said something about the people who have been there for a while and kind of like guiding the things like we just talked about. Like the chamber is a big player in that game. So that's why I wanted to tap in about like I feel like in Selma there's some level of gatekeeping. And if you're not familiar with what gatekeeping means, it's like, well, we hold the keys to if you want to throw events, if you want to throw concerts, if you want to do these things, like we hold the keys to it. And if we're not a part of it, then I'm going to try to like make things difficult for you. And I've heard that from a lot of people who try to do things in the city, who do community events, to do other things outside of the chamber. And it's that mentality that you just painted for us, of either, the permits, the fees, all of the requirements. I just wish it was a even playing field, and getting rid of that mentality of like, well, it's not my idea, so I'm going to make things hard for you. And that I'm just saying what organizers in the community have told me. And the best example is the farmers market. My boy Jesse Crouch used to do the farmers market for a while. It was a new thing. They tried to get it going. But it just got so expensive, like trying to put it on and trying to get it going with fees. So it's like the city needs to see these new people and be like, all right, let's bring you in. Let's figure out how we can work with you, instead of just always working with the same group of people all the time and giving them the passes and giving them the special treatment. We have a new generation of leaders that are coming on that want to do community events, and I think we need to open the doors to them. And that taps in with what I feel about like the mayor. When I first met him, he's always been very like open to new ideas and open to new opportunities of like, all right, well, like this is how we done it. It's like, okay, that's cool. Like when it comes to media and things like that, like, all right, that works. That's great. Like instead of like being stubborn and saying, well, I don't want to do that for this video. Like, or I don't want to promote Pioneer Village like that, which I've heard people not wanting to promote Pioneer Village in a certain way. And he's always been welcoming and always been opening to new ideas and new technology. So that mentality of like, yes, let's incorporate things that I may not know about to make things better in the city. And that's the vibe that I get. I don't get anything like, well, it's not my idea, so I don't really like it from him or anybody else. It's always been a welcoming environment of like, your generation has these new ideas and we want to open the door and we want you to be a part of our city because you're not going to be here forever. You can't hold on to this office forever. In the chamber, you can't hold on to these seats forever. At some point, we're going to have to pass the baton. And that's what I'm here for. And that's why I want to run. Like, we need to pass the baton. And I need to open that door for not only myself, but for the people behind me, for people doing events, people who want to make the community better. And that's really what I'm running. It's to open doors, man.
I like that, man. Cause again, you're not, I think you're going to be a pioneer for the younger generation, especially one that we are. As much as we hear all the time, the culture is this, the culture is that. So, again, it's not about just because again, there's a lot of things that I disagree with culture, but again, that's what makes America so great, is because we can believe what we want as long as we're not, being a certain type of way, man, against either side, but again, I feel like we have this new opportunity, this new age of thinking that can actually benefit, because having my own business, doing what I'm doing, I got so much experience working in news, learning from you, learning from a lot of great people to come do it on my own to actually succeed. Those are the people that I want to empower. Those are the people that I want to, if I was in your position, if I ran for mayor, I want to find those people, and connect, whether I disagree with them or not. But again, there's got to be a common ground.
Absolutely.
And I think, again, man, there are things that I've heard. Maybe you can address this, because again, we hear this all right, far left. Have you been called you're far left? Are you the far left?
No,
Have you
I've
heard
not been
that?
called that once on the campaign trail
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
I've not been called that. Like I said, like I have, one of the things I'll mention this quick story is that walking through my neighborhood, I talked to a Vietnam veteran. I came across him. We talked about the city, talk about that. And I kind of told him my vision for it. And you think he would be like, "Oh, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican," but he never once asked me that. He was wanting to hear my vision and what I could do for the city and what I could bring and what I bring to the table. So we talk, and the conversation I left, like he didn't say I'm going to vote for you. He didn't say any of that. He just said, "Well, okay, great. This is great talking to you." Bye. And I met him on Monday again at a American Legion event that I attended, thanks to Alicio. Shout out to Commander Zuniga. Great guy. He helped develop the Veterans Plaza with the statues and everything.
Yeah.
That's only phase 1. Phase 2 is coming. It's going to be great. So I went to the dinner and I saw the man I met there, and he's like, "I'm voting for you. I voted for you." He's like, of course, he's like, "Don't mess it up." I'm like, I'm not, man. I'm not.
I'm gonna find you.
No. But that idea that he never once asked me about, parties or like that. It's like, what can you do for the city? And our visions aligned and our words aligned. And that's what I'm here for. And that's why it's a nonpartisan race, because like there could be Republicans or there could be Democrats that back you or back your opponent. But it's a very strange environment in Selma, because you do have Democrats and Republicans working together on any side, and independents. So it's kind of like it's not like a divisive thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
People may have more conservative views or more liberal views, and I'm in those spaces with them.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of democracy.
Yeah.
Is that you share your conservative views, let me hear your liberal views, and I'll share my views, and we all come together of like, okay. And that's one of the things that's been happening, for the past 4 to 8 years, the way politics are in America.
Yeah.
And one of my messages has always been like, I promise you that you could probably find more things in common with somebody that's in your city than you have that separate you guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people aren't taking the time to do that. It's like, well, you have a D by your name, you have an R by your name. You're not in my gang. I can't mess with you. But it's like, we both agree that we need to have this, and we both agree that the city needs to look like this.
We should be like those guys in LA, the Bloods and Crips, tie the dude or the rags and just hold them up.
No, absolutely, like a unity, and that's really what my campaign is, and that's why I say people before politics, because it's so easy to fall into that, like politicizing everything, especially with social media.
Well, let's talk about the politicizing, man, because again, politics is a dirty sport, man. And again, one of the things I've heard, came across too, is that, even like on one of your posts that's very public, you guys had an open, discussion, a debate, and none of your opponents came. It was said. But then on the other side, I'm hearing that they didn't get invited. They didn't know. It was like last minute pop up. You didn't get permits. You got, I know we mentioned this a little earlier, but, what do you say about stuff like that when the blows are, getting thrown? Is that true? Did you not tell them, or did anybody not tell them about that, about the open debate? Or, it's, where's the middle? Where's the, I don't want to say excuse, but where's the answer to that? Where they said it wasn't sanctioned. It wasn't to get permits. They didn't tell us. It was last minute. We didn't know. Is that true?
I could not tell you. I'm not an organizer. Didn't organize the debate. I showed up. So from what I understand, the people organizing it, they didn't have the sound equipment. They couldn't use the sound equipment because of a permit, which is fine. Like, let's just do it without the sound. Let's go. So I wasn't the organizer on that. So I don't know the logistics behind the event. I just know that I saw it on Facebook and I showed up and told them I was going to be there. I felt like that is a more public venue. It's open to the public. So anybody could have came and anybody could ask questions. It wasn't like at someone's house, which would be, that would not be fair. And also, the mayor's opponent was there, who's not like who is running against the mayor, and she showed up. And Teresa Guzman Salas, she showed up. She did what she needed to do. She did great. She made a lot of valid points. She it was a great conversation between Mayor Robertson and Teresa. Like it was, she did really well. So I don't know where the excuses are. I mean, with the other people that didn't show, I was there, and I had the opportunity to speak to a couple of people, and people ask questions.
Yeah,
and that's what I like, and that's what I'm all about. Is like we need transparency, we need accountability, and that's only done by face-to-face communication and contact. You're not going to get it through Facebook because Facebook's going to turn into a free for all.
Yeah.
So you're going to get it on face-to-face contact. So I don't know the logistics behind that event. You'd have to talk to the organizers. But the young man and the young lady that were there that facilitated did a great job. It was the first time I ever met them, so I didn't have any questions in advance. And it's great. It was like this is what it's supposed to be like. This is what democracy is.
Okay, yeah. I mean that makes sense. I mean that clarifies on your end, because again, I never want to just call people liars and just because again, I've watched certain videos or promotions on Facebook from your opponent. And that was one of the big things they talked about. Because it's one of those things where. If you can clarify it on your end, again, it's not my position to call you a liar. It's not, well, you're lying. It's like, no, get real. No. Again, man, that's what you like, your experience, what you'll say, because what you decide to put out is on you. Because again, that's one thing I love about these shows, especially for this podcast for myself. This keeps me really accountable, because I am a podcast, a platform that speaks encouragement, a certain way of thinking and changing our mindset. And it's like, what kind of hypocrite I am if I'm not living out what I'm speaking, and
absolutely.
I feel like, you running for the position and running for Lewis and all these other candidates, it's like you guys are putting yourself in this position to be held accountable. Yeah. So expect, both ways, man. And I think that's what
I just wish there could be an unbiased platform in some. I wish that existed.
Let's do it.
We talked about it, but at some point it's going to be like, oh, so and so, or so it's very hard and in the past, I guess organization used to do it. They're not doing it this year. I don't know why. I guess it was too last minute. I don't know the excuses behind it, but that was the most unbiased platform that the city had. Yeah. But it's unfortunate that doesn't exist this year. And it like I mentioned, like it needs to happen, like so that it could be an even playing field and everybody feels comfortable in the space, because that's important. Like if you're not comfortable in the space, you feel like, oh, it's the home team against the away team and things like
that's
that.
Sketchy.
Yeah,
it's sketchy, man. And honestly, I'll be real, because again, I don't live in Selma, and I did say I would vote for Lewis, but dude, I'd vote for you, and you guys are on different ends. You're supporting, who you're supporting for mayor. I know that's something. I mean, the whole new world's like, it's funny. Like the podcast is like, oh, political. Let's be like Fox News and CNN. But my thing was so dope about this is like, you're not going to get a minute, 20 seconds to get your whole point across. Yeah. I want to be that type of guy that's ask certain questions. What's your guys' beef? Let's get it all out. Yeah. If it gets aggressive, then there's probably a reason why. Or are you getting too emotional? I would definitely love to do that, honestly, because I feel like that's what the city of Selma, the people deserve, to sit there and listen and watch. Yeah, absolutely. Get it out. Yeah. All right, so you said this about me. Is that true? No. Yeah. Well, this is what I heard from other people. And then like, talk about it. Be men. Yes. Be men and women about it. Say, let's square up. And again, I'm old school. Like, we brought some boxing gloves. If you guys want to really fix the problem, go on back, come back in square. Yeah. That's how I used to deal with it. I'm not saying that's going to happen. Yeah. But honestly, dude, if that's something, because again, this is we're shooting it like what on Tuesday, right? Today's Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Dude, I'm off. So this is coming out on a Saturday, and bro, I'm telling you, man, if we can make it happen, I'm down.
I mean, I could do what I can to try to facilitate it. Yeah. But like I said, like I think that's something I agree with you. That's something that people need to have, is that debate, that back and forth debate, where the opportunity to go back and forth. Because in the past, what was presented is like, oh, you can't talk about your opponent. I'm like, well, so how is that? How can you have a rebuttal against one's argument? Yeah. So we've done plenty of debates in the past, working in the news, so we know how they go, and we know how important they are.
Well, I think from our experience, because we hear fake news, we hear right, left news, all that. But I think one thing I love about because we had opportunities where we had town halls, we've done all these, and we let these candidates just talk. We have our opinions behind the camera, but that's where it stays, because we're doing a job. And then when we have the town halls, like at People's Church and other places, like, you know what? Just let the people decide, because we're airing it.
Absolutely.
And I definitely want this podcast to be that, because again, Still Here podcast there's a huge reason behind that, because about me, I died of COVID, came back, and then I got bacterial double pneumonia, and I was struggling. So I'm still here, and I feel like a lot of candidates, you know, a lot of people in Selma have that story and it resonates with a lot of people. That's why I'm not a podcast just for church and church experience. No, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's what the city of Selma needs. And I feel like, bro, I'm so down to do that. Let's do that because
I wish
the podcast for me, man, is not just about me. It's about everybody here in the Central Valley, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really is, to tell that story, give you a platform to hear your heart. Because again, me and you, we've hung out, we've gotten a couple of beers, you know, we just chop up about life, business, or gear, because we are gear nerds, you know. It's like, but we never really sat down like this to fully talk about, get to know each other more, and just, you know, get in depth on why and stuff, you know. So I think, you know, if that's something they're down for, maybe you can spit in the ear of somebody there, and I can, you know, we can definitely do that, man, because
I think that would be a great opportunity, you know, to have an even platform and a visual platform, and the amount of technology you have here to put a quality production, you have it all. Like as opposed to maybe like a web camera or one microphone in the middle where we have to share it.
And you don't hear no. I've seen no setup.
This is a professional setup, and
I mean, look, we got a split box, boy. Go back to that split box. Boom! Look at that.
Yeah.
Who's doing that right? That's why Still Here Podcast is the only #1 podcast in the Central Valley, man. But
the
I know
quality is here. The quality exists.
Yeah, and dude, I want to tell you, man. Let's wrap it up because I know you got to get going, man. You're a busy guy. I know you got a lot of things going on, man. And again, you've probably seen the show and heard. You know, what's your message to the city of Selma? What's your message to the people that may have doubts in you, that may have, oh, Moreno's a liar or this and that or whatever? What's your message to the people? Why should they vote for you? You know, that's your camera right there, man. Speak to them. Let them know.
Man, that's a lot of pressure. All the questions, that's probably the hardest one. No, so like I mentioned before, like I'm not a politician. I'm not polished. I am not like in it for clout, in it for any other reason other than to serve my community. And like I said, through my volunteer experiences with Selma Art Center and other nonprofits, like I have been volunteering, and that's kind of like what I enjoy doing because I want to see my city shine. You know, either it's through video, photography, marketing. I'm here to see our city shine, see our city grow. I am naturally a competitive person, so I don't like to see Reedley and Sanger and Kingsburg outshine us. Like, we have what it takes to move the city forward. We're a city of champions. Football, wrestling, everything. Like we produce champions. We produce greatness. And right now, I'm asking, are we living up to that? Like, are we building? Are we leaving a city to be proud of to our next generation? And that's kind of why I'm deciding to run and asking for your vote. The best analogy I could come up with, I feel like I don't want to just look at you.
No, you're good. You're good, man. Yes.
The best analogy I could come up with is the Raiders. I am a Raider fan. I love the Raiders like I love Selma. But every year is the Raiders' year, right? And
every year, supposedly, it's our year.
Okay. So let's look at that analogy. Like, every year is a rebuilding season. Yeah. We're gonna rebuild this. We lose head coaches. We get new owners. We get new receivers. Like, every year we think we got it, and that's what Selma is. I feel like every administration, every time we lose a city manager, every time we lose a police chief, we're rebuilding, and Selma's gonna be great eventually, but how long can we be the Raiders? Like, how long are we not going to make it to the playoffs? How long do we not transition in the red zone? And we have our wins. Don't get me wrong. The Raiders could beat Tom Brady every now and then, Patrick Mahomes sometimes. Yeah. But we're still not producing. The city is still not producing at that level. And I still love it. I'm still a fan. But at some point, I had to put my helmet on and get me in. Let's go.
Put me in, coach.
And that's what I feel like.
Let's go.
So voters, I'm asking you, do you want a Brett Favre past 2007 who's ready to retire past his prime? Do you want to vote for someone like that? Or do you want a Patrick Mahomes who's going to get us there?
That's a legitimate, man. I mean, if you guys, again, like you said, you know, go from leaving, not leaving, but having that Raider, like, hey, this is our year. Then eventually you guys will be like the go wide. You'll be like the New England Patriots. Let's go. I know the Patriots are in the rebuilding scene with Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. But I love that analogy, man.
And we get that a lot. There are some fans that stop being Raider fans. Like, I'm gonna start going for another team. And we have people leaving Selma. Some people are leaving Selma to go to go to neighboring cities because I'm done with this town, man. Nothing's happening, nothing's growing. So are we still gonna keep taking these L's? Because we've been taking L's.
Yeah, that's so real, man. You guys, again, man, you are the community is the product, their own mindset and what they, and their laziness too. Because again, if you don't look inward, that's the problem, because again, we can blame council members, mayors, city managers, but if you can't just say, how can I do my part? Your part is voting.
Voting is doing your part.
Yeah.
Putting the right people in office that can help move the city forward, that you share a vision with, that can open doors and that can be a part of the community. If that's what you want, then I would suggest looking in your voter information guide and read the statements. It's there in black and white. You're going to see who talks about me, and you're going to see who talks about what I can do for other people and what I want to do for other people. So there's a clear difference between me and my opponent of me. I have all these things and I do all these things, as opposed to how can I help the city go? How can we win? I'm a team player, and that's how I always run.
That's what's up. You guys, that's real talk. I mean, I love that analogy because again, man, if you can bring it to like even Pastor Lewis, he was a quarterback. Nice. He used the analogy when he was a quarterback at Selma High, talking about the team, and he has that team mentality. I'll be 100 with you, man. Go listen to that podcast because, I follow people. I don't follow titles, man. I follow people's heart and courage. I follow what you just said. That's what I see in people, whether I agree with their politics or not, man. But if there's a common ground, like you've mentioned all through this whole pod, is that let's find out what's going to work.
Yes.
Work out our differences. Be mature about it, because if you're salty because I voted for you and it's like a personal thing, then you forgot why you ran. Yeah. Period. On both sides.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. And so, and I think that's a huge problem with politics, even nationwide, man. It's just like, well, how can I get mine?
Yes.
And I'm over that. That's why I vote the way I vote from what I believe, but I'm not a guy that's just going to push it and hammer, even just try to prove a point. Exactly. Because even at some point, even if you're right, because biblically, I believe I want to be a peacemaker, man. I really do. Yeah. In my days, in my experiences working with certain pastors back in the day when I was in Selma, just had this mentality of, go big or go home, my way to highway. And it's very black and white. And I'm not that, I don't want to be that to God's people. I want to be a living example. In my day, I never was this guy that I wanted to be fake, and I hated that. Whether I have beliefs or not, it was more of a personal thing. And honestly, I'll be real, dude. You running as a candidate, for what you're running for, dude, I support that mentality, because that just shows me, because working with you, I've seen that. Yeah. I'll be 100 with you, man. Even though, again, we're on different sides of where we believe politically. Yeah. That's not the point. The point is I've seen you in action. I've worked with you. You are, in a sense, a perfectionist. You know what works. So I've always held myself to that standard. Look what I have here. Yeah. And I think that vibe I get from you, man.
And we evolve. We adapt and we evolve. And I feel like that's not happening. Like you adapted, you evolved into this great studio production from, working at behind the scenes, one camera, and you've evolved personally, emotionally, and career-wise. Yeah. And I feel like that's what needs to happen to our city. We need to mature and evolve.
That's real. Man, I love that, man. I appreciate it. Dude, I'll be real, man. If you're really up for it, let's set something up before the elections. I'm down. Work on it. Maybe send a group email chat to, all the other candidates, bro. And let's chop it up. Something I love about this platform, this podcast, you're not limited on time. Yeah. We can do like a Joe Rogan 3-4 hour pod. Oh my gosh. But take breaks, but just really get to the point and not put a limit on people, because you have a right to speak. Your opponents have a right to speak. Now let's do it. I'm down. I'm 100% down. So again, man, thanks for your time. I know you got a lot going on. I know you're doing a lot. I know we've ended, but is there anything else you want to get off top of your head? Do you think you've covered what you feel like you need?
I think I covered everything I need to cover, but I just want to thank you again and your family. Like this is a family affair, just so you know. Like he's putting his kids to work, his wife to work, and I appreciate your time, man. Like, cause you guys are taking time out of your lives to do this, and you do this for a lot of other people, and you're giving people a platform, and you're giving people a voice, and that's what I want to do.
Amen, brother. All right, you guys stay tuned, man. I hope we get that. Go wide, Laura. I hope we get that political or that debate, because You know, again, I'm tired of like, oh, they're saying this. Oh, there's, you know, social media, you can never get anything resolved. And that's in your personal life, man. Quit arguing and bickering on social media. Get off social media. Connect with people, man. Connect with real people, man. I love what you say. People before politics. You know, people before your own beliefs, what you stand for. Man, just have a commonality. We're human. That's it. We're all human. We make mistakes. So I do believe, man, quit holding people to a standard you yourselves may not be living behind the scenes. You know, I want to be a guy when all this is off. I want to be the same dude. So that's who I am. That's what Still Here Podcast represents. Because I've been through it. I know what's fake. Because I've been there. I was fake. And that's not a person I want to be, because I have a generation of young, you know, my kids that I want them to succeed and be far better than I've ever been, you know, in their young years. So I want to tell you guys, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for support, man. You guys vote with your own conscience, man. Vote with your own convictions. You know, get out there and vote. Go if you feel like you want to vote and you don't trust the mail about it, go and vote. That's it. Just use your voice. Trust your vote, man. I love you guys. Stay tuned. Season 3 is coming soon. Got so many one-off podcasts getting ready to drop. I love you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one.